Thank you so much for being here. Just for everyone watching now, we are joined here in studio for a candidate for California's next governor, Antonio Villaraigosa. During your time, you're no stranger to California politics here.
And no stranger to Bakersfield either.
Yeah, yep. But you have served both as mayor of Los Angeles and as well as Speaker of the California Assembly during your time serving with politics here, and was also part of the chair of the Democratic Party as well a few years ago.
Actually, I was chair of the convention in
Oh,
2012.
the convention,
Yes.
yes. So to just kind of jump right into that, there is a long list of candidates right now running for California's highest elected position. What makes you stand out from these other candidates?
Experience, a track record. You said it. I've said many times this is a state that's given me more than I could have ever imagined. Growing up in a single family household where my mom had to struggled to make ends meet and put 4 kids through college. But it's a state with big challenges, and I'm ready for those challenges. You said it. I've been in public service a long time. I was Speaker of the California State Assembly with a Republican and Democratic governor, when we had only 42 and 48 votes, not a supermajority, and we balanced 2 budgets with a surplus. Expanded health care for children. I was the author of Healthy Families. Millions of kids got health care, including kids here in Bakersfield. When I was Speaker, I was someone who worked across the aisle, something that we don't do very much anymore. Later, I became mayor of Los Angeles, and as you said, when I became mayor, LA was one of the most violent big cities in America. When I left, it was nearly a 50% drop in violent crime, and the only city safer, big city, was New York. Our schools were, 1 out of 3 schools were failing back then. By the time I left, it was a 60% increase in the graduation rate. #1 American city in reducing carbon emissions, #5 in the world. Built more infrastructure than anybody in the United States, which is why Gavin Newsom made me infrastructure czar. When he did, I came back here to Bakersfield, to Fresno. I went up and down the valley. I went to every part of this state. And what I hear, as I've been on an affordability tour, and today is part of that tour, was at a farm in Shafter and a packing house in Fresno, is people say they can't afford California. We have the highest gas prices in the United States of America. We have very high utility costs that have gone up 60% in the last 6 years. And we have the highest home prices in the United States of America. And so I think we need a governor who's going to focus on affordability. So what sets me apart is experience, a track record, a proven problem solver who's actually gotten the job done. And what sets me apart is I'm a uniter. Look, our politics is broken. People screaming on both sides of the aisle. I think we need people that want to work with everyone, people who understand that some of the challenges we face, most of the challenges, need an all-of-the-above approach. And so I'm excited to be here in Bakersfield again. I was here a couple of months ago. Well, actually a few weeks ago, and a couple of months before that. I think you're going to see a lot of me, maybe more than you want to. But I think what you'll realize is I want to listen to the people of Bakersfield, Kern County, Fresno County, San Diego County, because I understand the best way to get things done is to listen to people and to work with them to make their life better. I think the other big thing that separates me, I'm the only one that was the chief executive of the largest city in California, the 2nd largest city in the country. For all practical purposes, a mayor of Los Angeles is like a governor. And I did a good job, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So you mentioned this a little bit in your question, but one of the biggest issues here in Bakersfield is oil and energy. And a few weeks ago, the California Assembly and Senate and Governor Newsom signed it, was a landmark energy bill that would add a lot more oil drills here in Kern County and would help reduce the price of gas at the pump. So if you were governor, would you have also supported this bill? And as well, along with that, was there anything that you would have changed in the way that this bill might have approached energy?
Well, first of all, I'm the only candidate in this race who said from the very beginning that the key to affordability are high gas prices. And the key to that is we can't keep on making it almost impossible for refineries to exist in California. I've done two op-ed pieces in the Bakersfield Californian, talking about an all-of-the-above approach. Yes, I would have supported that bill. In fact, I called for the legislature to address what we've done in this state, and that is strangle not just oil, but gas. Look, we need an all-of-the-above approach to energy security, because that's what it is. And that means, it means solar and wind, it means big hydro, little hydro, it means natural gas and oil, and it means small nuclear. If we want to get to net zero by 2045, we've got to do all of that. And that means we have to build transmission lines. We can't let the perfect get in the way of the good. So I would absolutely have supported it. And we need to do more.
Okay. And then similar thing as the last question. Another big hot topic issue for a lot of Californians, not only just here in Bakersfield, but across the state, is the cost of living and the cost of prices. California is the fourth largest economy in the world, yet people are still struggling to pay rent, to get groceries and food on the table. As governor, what would you do to help decrease some of these costs?
Well, first of all, let's talk about rent and the cost of housing. Rent and housing cost so much because we're not building housing. We need homeless housing, we need affordable housing, we need workforce housing, and yes, we need market rate. And we need to make it easier to build. That means we need to suspend CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, for infill housing. We need to streamline permitting and cut the red tape so we bring down the cost of housing. The way to make sure that rent's down and home costs are down is to build more, because the demand is so great.
Now, you used to be the mayor of Los Angeles, and of course, you're no stranger to what goes on in one of California's largest cities. Earlier this year, Los Angeles was hit with some of the most devastating fires in its history.
The most devastating fire in our history.
The most. If you were governor during the time of these fires, what would you have done differently from Governor Newsom in the response, or before the fires had even taken place to begin with?
Well, I'm not running against Gavin Newsom. I'm running to be the next governor. I'll tell you what we need to do going forward. We need to make sure that we have the fire assets that we need, because this is a new world order with respect to climate change. We have never seen a fire 100 miles an hour in a city in this way. And the next governor is going to have to make fire prevention a big issue, the biggest issue. He's done some things on that. We need to build on what he's done. We need to address insurance. We were the only state that didn't do catastrophic modeling at a time of climate change. We're the only state that didn't do reinsurance. And we're the only state that it takes more than a year to pass a rate hike. So we have to deal with insurance reform, because the California Fair Plan, which I have, doesn't cover the cost of rebuilding your homes. So we need an all-of-the-above approach to disasters like this and to fire prevention.
Right. So turning today to some kind of hot topic news that was happening today. Katie Porter has been a little bit under fire for a CBS interview that she did up in Sacramento about, her run for governor. And today your campaign did release a advertisement, a longer one, pretty much showcasing the larger chunk of the interview where she threatened to leave the interview because of the way she didn't like the question. Do you have a comment about this incident? And, what do you think of Katie Porter and her campaign for this race?
Look, I've said from the beginning that what distinguishes me from her and the other candidates is I have a record. I've done this before. I've had a big job, and I did a good job at the two big jobs I had. But if you're asking me about the interview that she had, what I've said is this: the next governor's got to be able to take on the hard and tough challenges we face. And they got to be able to answer simple questions. That was a simple question. And I've got a record of not just answering simple questions, but the tough ones. And the next governor is going to have to focus on the job at hand. So I think it's very clear that people are concerned about her ability to answer simple questions, but that's up to the voter, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, to ask you the same question that was asked of her, you know, California is home to 40% Republicans. How would you appeal to those Republican voters across the state as running as a Democrat?
You know, look, I started out in this interview and I talked about how I worked across the aisle to balance two budgets with a surplus. When I was mayor, I had staff that were Democrat and Republican. I understood that I had to represent everyone. And I believe that the next governor, especially right now in these times of polarization and finger pointing, we need a governor who's going to unite us, a governor who's going to listen to us, a governor who understands even if people didn't vote for me, I still have to represent them and I have to respect them. You know, in my office on a wall, I said, I have a list of rules or a list of things that are important to me. And one of them is respect everyone. And I think every voter deserves respect. So whether or not I get the support of every voter or every Republican, I'm going to represent all of them. And that's true for Democrats that don't support me as well. I think people are tired of the screaming, of the finger pointing, of the polarization. They want leaders that work with everybody. So I can't answer that question. It was actually a very simple question. What I'll say to those people, tell me what you want from the next governor. Tell me what I'm doing right. Say to me what I'm not doing right. I've been at the town halls, and not one or two. I've been to hundreds. And I can tell you over time, people are usually upset about something. Sometimes with you, sometimes with life. And a governor has to be able to work with everyone.
Right.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining with us today.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.